For the 11th year in a row, I've read more than 100 books, and you know what that means? Nothing. It means nothing. It sounds cool. It probably gets me, some extra views on Instagram. I do find it motivating to keep track, though. So, 100 books last year and 19 books last month. And I'm not going to mention every single book in this video. I'll put the full list down in the video description. I'll just run through my top 7. I've also got 2 more books I want to mention at the end of the video. And this one is like the theme for my 2025. And this one is going to be the very first book that I finished this year. And it's a perfect, way to set the stage for 2025. And I will reveal both of those books later on. The first of the best last month is Stronger Than Yesterday by Mike Matthews. And this book is genuinely helpful, fitness, lifestyle, advice, motivation from one of the most trusted trainers in the entire fitness industry. And I mean, the industry as a whole does not have a fantastic reputation. There are charlatans and just, people that, they claim that they're a natural athlete when they're just really taking a bunch of steroids and stuff. And just like selling stuff that they know doesn't work. There's none of that with this guy. And it's my second book that I've read by him. I've also read The Little Black Book of Workout Motivation, and that's really good too. And I actually have a complete breakdown of that book. I'll put that in the video description too. It's totally free to read, and it's all the best, notes, takeaways from that. And it's one of the better fitness books that I've ever read. And same with this one, Stronger Than Yesterday. Then the second book I read on my phone, it's called Secrets of Self-Mastery by Mitch Horowitz, who was an author I actually just discovered this year. And I ended up reading 4 different books of his. So this one kind of builds on the ideas of Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich. Again, one of my favorite books. I recommend it all the time. And regardless of the kind of late controversy, if you will. The whole idea behind the book was that he met this, basically the equivalent of like a billionaire in the 19th century, commissioned him to, do this whole study of success secrets, and went on this 20-year journey to interview all of these successful people and ended up with Think and Grow Rich. Now, today, people are saying that first meeting never actually happened. But regardless, like Think and Grow Rich is phenomenal, and a lot of Mitch's work is building on that. And so Secrets of Self-Mastery is one of the books in this series. The first book that I read by him is called The Miracle of a Definite Chief Aim. I absolutely loved that book. And I don't mean to spend so much time on each one, so I'll move on. But yeah, discovering Mitch's books was a real highlight of my reading year. Then we've got Reframe Your Brain by Scott Adams. The first book I read by him was called How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. And I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite books, but it's absolutely one that I recommend all the time. And it's got some of my favorite ideas. And I won't dive into a big, tangent on that book, but I'll just say that it's well worth checking out. And this one too. So it's called Reframe Your Brain, and it's basically got 160 plus mental reframes that help you improve your fitness, lifestyle, relationships, career, things of that nature. And they're just instant shifts in thinking. It makes things easier or more clear, help you move forward in a lot of ways. So I really enjoyed this one. And number 4 was Living Young, Dying Old by John A. Brink. And this one was a surprise favorite of mine too. And John is, he's actually grown to be a good friend of mine now. I was a guest on his podcast a little while back. And he is the oldest competitive bodybuilder in North America at 84 years old. He just turned 84. So that's pretty epic. And so this book is kind of, I almost think of him as like an older Michael Matthews. Like he is Mike Matthews, except twice his age. Another fitness book, and it's just got, lifestyle, diet, habits, advice from someone who's been alive for 9 decades, which is not an insignificant amount of time. So he's got tons of, just helpful wisdom, advice to impart in this one, and I really enjoyed it. I did not expect to like it as much as I did. I knew it would be good, but I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. Now, this book right here, this is actually not one that I've mentioned so far in this video. I'm going to save it for another video in the future, but this was, out of 100 books last year, this was my number 1 favorite book out of all of them. And I read it fairly early on, I think March or April, and it held that top spot for months and months. And, I read some great books, obviously, but none of them dislodged this one from the number 1 spot. And I'm going to run down my favorites in a future video. But number 5 was The Obvious Choice by Jonathan Goodman. He's a globally respected fitness and business expert, and also a friend of mine, too. The thing about my network is it's full of good guys, right? So this Mike Matthews guy, he is like one of the good guys in the fitness industry. And you got someone like John Brink, who's just a genuinely decent person with tons of great wisdom to share, and a friend of mine. And this guy, Jonathan Goodman, who's just another good person. And, he's done extremely well by doing good. So this book, The Obvious Choice, is a clear, creative, captivating guide to making more money in your business. And it was another really good one. Second last one I read on my phone too. It's called Homeless to Billionaire by Andres Pira. And it's exactly like the title says. He was homeless on the beach, like living on the beach when he was, I think, 21 or something like that. And this was in Thailand. Like he moved from Sweden to Thailand, and then he started this real estate empire and became a billionaire in a few decades. And he mentions a lot of the same personal development classics that that I have read, and every single other successful person has made a part of their lives. And so he's like, books directly contributed to his becoming this massive success. And yes, obviously there's a ton of luck when you get to like outcomes that are that level. It's not necessarily a one-to-one correlation where it's like, oh, he's successful because he read XYZ books, but you stack the probabilities in your favor by reading great books and making a habit of it. And again, just being a good person, right? Like, good guys actually win. And it's true for Mike Matthews and Jonathan Goodman and this guy Andres Pira, all of those guys, right? And I mean, you can get ahead a little bit by being a jerk or being shady, but that never lasts for long, and you're constantly kind of like looking over your shoulder to see if you're being found out. And that's, I mean, what kind of success is that, right? And before I get to the last one, I mentioned two other books earlier in the video, and this one is my theme for 2025. It's called Nine Figure Mindset by Brandon Dawson. And Brandon is just like a phenomenally successful entrepreneur. He sold one of his businesses for $151 million. And then he built another one to like a $500 million valuation. And this is his book on, basically how he did this from zero. And at one point, he had to start from zero again. So, like, he's done it, like, over and over and over again. Like, it's not an accident. And this book has a lot of his secrets and his best ideas. And then this one, the first book that I'm going to finish in 2025, it's called Launch by Jeff Walker. And the thing about Jeff, like, without any exaggeration, like, he transformed internet marketing from, like, what it was to what it is today. Like, he is one of the, like, original guys. All of the people that he's worked with, I think they're over $1 billion in top-line revenue from their launch. And that's a direct result of implementing what Jeff teaches in this book. So this would be my first book of 2025. The last one of 2024 was A Christmas Carol. And like this story probably. I don't have to rehash the entire plot. The greedy old guy gets visited by four ghosts, I guess, and changes his ways overnight on Christmas. It's every bit as good as you think it is, and it's just an enduring classic. I think he wrote it in like 1843 or something like that, and it's just phenomenal. One of my favorite books of last year, and so yeah, that was the very last one. Now, one of the things that I do to read a ton of books is a very simple thing. Like it's a stupidly simple thing. And I outlined the whole thing in like 5 minutes in this video right here. So go watch that right now if you want to read a ton more books in 2025 and every single year beyond that. But thanks very much for watching this video. And always remember, bookmarks are for quitters.
I don't waste time, no, I make time. All these people wanna hate, fine, I'ma make mine. While you sitting there complaining, I'll be training. While you sitting there just waiting, I'm creating. Yeah. Sometimes I think that I'm unstoppable.